Productions.
Wait, boy. If I didn't get to eat this roti today, I would have sure cried. Cry, boy? I's a big man, though. Men supposed to cry? I wonder if it's safe to cry in front my woman. What women really looking for these days in a man? Are most women happily married or just happy to be married? Talk Heavy Podcast. Welcome, one and all, to another episode, another wonderful edition of the Talk Heavy Podcast. I'm your host, yours truly, Justice, ready to start something. Press the excitement button, and I'm excited, of course, for another heavy conversation, as usual, that we're about to have this evening. But first, I want to say shout outs and welcome to each and every one of you joining us here live on Facebook, the Mended Studios Facebook page, of course. All right, and we want to, of course, encourage you to share, like, and share your views, comment. We most importantly, build the algorithm. All right, get as much distance in terms of reaching as many people as possible. That really helps to build the algorithm. Hey, shout outs to Ja Angel first on commenting with us, and of course the entire Talk Heavy podcast team. All right. So let me not waste no time. I want to jump right into the conversation today. Our title: Prison Life, Any Life? Is prison life any life at all? Right? And to have this conversation with me so far is none other than Gen X, Mr. Cassio Anthony. Most of you would have known him from his endeavors in the gospel music arena. And we have another gentleman, another brother I had the pleasure of meeting recently, Mr. Maurice Cole. All right, good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Well, good vibes. Pleasure to be here,
Nice.
Pleasant good evening, one and all. It's indeed a privilege,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an honor to be on this podcast this evening.
Good vibes, man. Good vibes. So I think I chose somebody. All right, of course. Sorry, my manners. We're gonna have another brother joining us, Mr. Junior Alexander, later on. He'll be on via Zoom as well. I think I chose some of the right men, the right brothers to have this conversation. Of course, Gen X, you are known for your pursuits in life skills training. You've been on the ground hitting it hard, reaching out to men, young men especially, who are actually in the life, in the gang life. And you've also done a lot of prison ministry as well. Tell us a little bit about your experiences, what you've been able to notice, and some of the challenges you've been able to overcome.
Yes. Well, good evening again, everyone. Thanks for having me. Well, let me just share a little bit about how the journey started.
One second,
When
Gen
I
X.
became...
One second, Junior, you could mute your mic until we call on you. All right, nice. Yeah, Gen X. Yeah, man.
So, about, let's say 2010, when I became a Christian, about probably, let's say 2 to 3 months after becoming a Christian, I asked myself, well, what now? And there was a quote that stood out to me. I believe it was by Mahatma Gandhi. It says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world today." And I wanted so many things to change in my community. I wanted to influence so much change. I wanted to be a change agent, So I went to a pavilion not too far from where I live called the Velodrome. And I started to just, I didn't know much. I didn't have any academic qualifications. I couldn't even talk properly. And I just telling people, I was serve God now and I changed my life and, I want to stop, living the way I used to live. And some people were very shocked, because they knew my history and my past and things like that. And that's how it started with just 7 people. We were just talking. And then they said to me, "Yo, let me do it again next week, please, God." And, I said, okay. And I went back. And that turned into a weekly thing. From 7 people, it grew to where on some nights we had over 100 people sitting in that pavilion,
Wait.
And that really challenged.
100 people, you say?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I have the evidence, a lot of pictures,
Right.
From where we had very few people and then we had over 100 people show up and we had meaningful conversations, and it really challenged me to, be better. Because in those days, I couldn't read and write properly. I just could talk a little bit. And I remember a friend of mine gave me a 1 gig computer. And I didn't know anything about computers at all. And I stood up, sometimes this kind of dial-up kind of thing, and I type in with 1 finger. But I was willing to be the change. I wanted to develop myself. I didn't want to stay in that way. I know God, I always heard my pastor say, come as you are. God wants you to come as you are. But he loves you too much for you to remain as you are. So I knew even though I was what they would have considered uneducated, even though I was like an outcast, a pest as they would say, I came to Christ like that, in that condition. But I didn't want to stay in that condition, I really wanted to be better. So that situation there where I was working with these people, these young people, it challenged me to be better because they were looking up to me now. And then I started to go from that pavilion in my community. I started to go to other pavilions in surrounding environment. And from there, the talk started to spread and people would ask me to come to their community. And one day I was asked to speak to some young men. I think it's called Supero Street. Yeah, Supero Street in San Fernando. Some young men there. And while I was speaking to those young men, the then CEO of YTEP, Mr. Nigel Forginet, he was there. He was also on the panel. And when I finished my session, he immediately came up to me and asked, are you employed? Are you planning to do this as a career? Because I observe you have a gift. And I'm thinking, what gift? Career? What are you talking about? And then he advised me as to the way forward to, doing this as a career. Do it enough, I love it enough to do it for free. But he showed me a way where I could do this for the rest of my life if I really do love it. And that was it. I started to facilitate life skills in YTC. That's the first place I started. So from the pavilion, I was thrown straight into the prison system. And, that was my, groundbreaking moment there because it's a whole change of mindset, having to deal with people in the free world. And now, just thrown into a prison system, it's a whole different mindset. Yeah. But it again challenged me. It again caused me to do more research. It pushed me to do more courses. I went to the University of the West Indies. I graduated there, the GPA of 3.9, the teaching of life skills with literacy. I have a diploma in that. So I also got a diploma in
So Gen X, a man who could have barely type on a laptop. You telling me went to University of the West Indies and graduated at 3.9 GPA?
Well, as I say, I wanted to be the change I wanted to see in the world. I wanted to encourage young men and women just like me that it is possible. My first exam, I made an F. I remember my pastor encouraged me to go and do this diploma, and I told him I wasn't ready because it was more work and I was now learning to write better and stuff like that. He said, "Don't worry, Gen X." My pastor is Reverend Mark David, by the way. He says, "You should go." And I took some people with me, some friends of mine. Even my wife came along to support me. Well, I shouldn't say I took them. They came to support me. And the first exam we did, I made an F. And that was in child and adolescent counseling. And that really hurt me. And I heard the devil say, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? You done something stupid, because I've heard that all my life. I never completed my secondary school education, right? I don't know what CXC look like. So I keep hearing, you done something stupid. What are you trying to prove? And long story short, I made an F. So I called him and I said, Pastor Mark, you see, I was looking for somebody to blame. So I said, I will blame him because he asked me to go do this. I said, you see, I told you I wasn't ready. I made an F. He said, don't worry, Janet. F means to go back and finish. And I just decided, what, I couldn't help but laugh. And I went back, but I took action. I didn't just pray for a miracle. I
Right.
studied
Right.
harder, hours upon hours. I wanted to be better. And then the second exam, I made a B. We had 6 exams that year. I made an F, I made a B, and I ended with 4 distinctions. And that was me being challenged. And I say that gratefully, because I believe if I could have done it, and others who were in my position or are in positions I would have passed through,
Yeah.
if they see I have done it, they would have that hope that, listen, I could do it as well.
I think one of the things you mentioned that stood out to me is that from your experience, coming up, people used to tell you you're done, you're stupid, you ain't gonna be nothing of yourself. And I think after talking to a lot of young men who end up in a particular lifestyle, in crime or gangs and that type of thing, they would have shared those experiences, whether it was their parent, their mother, their father, or an aunt or some type of thing. You understand? And that really contributes to them straying from what we would really want them to be in a life of positivity. But in YTC, let me talk back a little bit in YTC. What was one of the most common things you would have noticed or observed with these young men in the system?
Well, there was a lot of anger. A lot of these young men were very angry. And I was trying to find the root cause, of what would cause them to commit crime. What were the root causes? So I started to do my little research. And in conversing with them, I kind of realized, not trying to, how to put it? We need to take responsibility for our actions. So I taught them that. I made them know we ought to be responsible for our own actions. And me understanding the root cause, shouldn't be seen as a way to absolve me from, or even them from, personal accountability. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm not trying to say, listen, it's not your fault and it's somebody else to blame. Because a lot of times we play the blame game. And a lot of the young people today, they're looking for somebody to blame, And while I understand that, I always show them, you have to take responsibility, 100% responsibility for your actions. That is what real men do, However, while, we have an obligation to be responsible or respect with fellow citizens, community, have a responsibility as well, to contribute to the development of these young people. So while they have a responsibility, I believe that, as a community, we also have a responsibility, to not judge them, because they suffer so much prejudice out there, to provide programs that would really guide them at an early age. There's a saying that goes, I can't remember who said it, but it says, the offender of tomorrow is the vulnerable child of today. You understand what I'm saying? So we ought to find these persons or young children in their vulnerable state and begin to really build them up, begin to train them, build their character, give them hope. Because tomorrow they're going to be, the person who offends. And in the YTC population, you have young men who, they suffer that type of prejudice, one of the things I observed that caused the crime was the economic strain, financial issues, poverty. These young men just angry because, they're seeing people on television and different communities living nice houses, they're sleeping in nice beds and different things like that. And they're waking up, some of them, in a little one-room shack, and that is making them feel as though, we need to get more. And then society have this thing like, the image factor where you had to have it all. And they will do whatever it takes. So that is one of the things I observed. These young men were really, really angry because poverty manifests itself in the lack of educational opportunities. These young men, they were not what to say, taking up taking the education opportunity seriously, and they have their reasons. So because of that, they end up on the streets and they're doing whatever they want, And I noticed that even how to put it, inaccessibility to services frustrated some of them. So I try getting through with this, and I never get through. Because I from here when they see my resume. So all these things began to frustrate young men, and then they say, no, you know what? Well, here what? I don't look for it to myself.
Yeah.
And that is how they ended up down the slippery slope to prison, because they keep saying, listen, so we didn't have opportunities. Although some opportunities were there, I think to access it was a bit, difficult for some of them. So,
yeah, I've heard of incidents where people are discriminated based on the area they live and that type of thing. And I like that you mentioned community, and I know there's a particular initiative you have going on right now, and there are opportunities for stakeholders to get involved and actually make change. But before we discuss that, I want to talk to Maurice a bit, right? Well, I met Maurice about a week ago, last week Friday or something. So, and really, really great guy, really humble guy. But one of the funniest things, well, not funny, but one of the things that blew my mind after meeting him and Junior is realizing that, looking at these guys now, you would never think that they were in a particular life, or they had particular experiences facing incarceration and that type of thing. So it just shows the drastic transformation that would have occurred in their lives. So Maurice,
Yes,
give us a little breakdown, a short history of your experience, where you would have grown up, how you ended up in a particular lifestyle, what was being incarcerated like, and your experience transforming your life and living a particular way now.
Okay, so well, I grew up in Cascade, which is not Cascade proper, just as Cascade, but I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Lady Young Road,
Mm-hmm.
right? I live off the Lady Young Road, so it's on top, up on the hillside of Cascade, the outer, behind God back kind of way, you could say, right? Real town country like bush and right.
Right.
The fifth of six siblings. I always ask myself how I ended up in being involved in criminal activities, because I come from a stable home, father and mother. I don't know about stepfather and thing, right? So I always think to myself, oh, but I thank God for His mercy, right? So, however, I grew up with uncles, and we always grew up with a kind of a hostile background.
Right.
My uncles, every day is a fight, that kind of don't pass through my yard, no squatting kind of a mentality, because the whole land was theirs. And from small, you see in that way, like you had to fight for what's yours. And I believe now, in hindsight, looking back, I realized that is the mentality. And I remember my father said to me one time that they were saying that I look like my father the most. And he said, yeah, you look like your father. I want him to know your father never lose a fight. No, that's simple thing. I'm not blaming my father for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that simple statement gave me a mindset that I can't lose a fight. I have to win. And that was the mindset. So, coming from there, grew up, I attended Belmont Boys. So I was very familiar with Belmont. So Cascade, you walk across the Lidong, you're overlooking Belmont. So a lot of people think I actually grew up in Belmont. I had family in Belmont, but always in Belmont. I started liming very early. I used to lime in school clothes. The lady who is my wife now, says she used to wonder if I go into school at all, because she would pass and see me on the railing in the morning, and pass back in the evening and see me on the railing, same spot,
Uh,
you know. So yeah, so like trouble. I don't know. We just had a knock, and then we had a cult here at a young age, get exposed to. Well, you know, we had the trade to give me blood, and the average youth man now, without guidance. No, I ain't blaming my father again, but he was not wrong to see everything. Without guidance, we get involved in making gun, you know, homemade. And them times, I mean, I'm 40, I know old man, but in them times,
right.
I want purpose are serious. You understand? We have that big machine on the streets now, but I want a 12 gauge. You know, I'm trying to be plain, I'm trying to be real.
Yeah, yeah, we
And I
talking
get
heavy.
involved in that. And then, you know, somehow the devil is set you up in a way that wherever you go, you would meet somebody involved in that. So going to school, I remember a guy named Keon Stewart. Out of all my friends, this was the gunman from Quarry Road. He died not too shortly after we left school. He died, somebody killed him in the spring. But I know that he would have some problem because he was a real menace in school. I went attended Success Lab until, again, the school was a school, you know, the core. I don't know if again, you're familiar with it, the quarry, the beat them right across the highway. Then you had Dan Kelly, then you had John, then you have fellows who go into school, they're living right behind the school. So in my mind, I from Belmont, I from Cascade. In my mind, I had to fight. I had to defend myself. So that kind of thing coming up grew on me until I left school. And then I remember saying this, somebody telling me, a teacher tell me one time, he said, you find yourself you'll get yourself in trouble, you know? That mentality, if you live, you know. With saying all this, I had a trade. I know the right thing, working for my money. I wasn't the drugs type, selling drugs. I tried already, tried to sell marijuana and things. That ain't work out for me. Cocaine and thing, I've been around them thing, but that never chilled me. I wasn't even much of a smoker, but you see, alcohol, I get involved in alcohol from school. And that was my problem from young. So that was my life thing. Grew up, coming up, we didn't have much. Nobody didn't correct each other. All my brothers, we the same thing. I had my big brother still around. Two eldest brothers, they were notorious in Belmont at the time. So I didn't have much work to do to gain respect in the community coming up. So, you know, you're fighting on your brother's strength. Right? And that was the idea. Until now, I thank God I did not serve a sentence. But I got locked up with a gun in the year 2001. And boy, that was, I remember that thing, that was a whole situation. I get held, charged with arms and ammunition. And that was a turn in my life. I tried to change after that. When I got bail and come out that weekend in Besson Street Station was like a year. Right? Not a nice thing at all, the holding cell and then the court cell in the court. And I thought I was going to jail because I wasn't, I condemned myself. I said, why I put myself here? You know, I messed up a lot of things. The company I kept, who I was involved in, the people I used to do things for. As I say, we was involved. And I hope I could say these things here these years ago. I'm a changed man now. But I was involved in a lot of gun trade. You know, fixing, manufacturing. Brother, I acquired this skill. I don't want to put up my things. So I was just saying a relative of mine, close relative.
Right.
You know, taught me that skill, which actually fix guns for some real youngsters, men who die now and all, right? And I used to be part of that. That was my life. I was addicted. People were addicted to the Roman thing. I was addicted to gun. You see, gun, I love it, right? I just save my money to buy one, and then of course, when you're involved with, you have a gun, you're going to have, the devil will find you work for it. Of course, enemies come, we end up in war. Before you know it, we have a young. The Valley Road, we went with other parts of Belmont. The cargo, some have a time of the year we used to smell trouble coming. And that was the life. I mean, at a young age, it was tiring. It was tiring. And then I came, I have a son, my eldest son now is he'll be 21 on Friday, go to school life.
Wow.
He's studying abroad right now. Well, let me just say that I'm the father of 7 children.
All right. All
Right?
right.
Same woman.
Mm.
Same woman. Right? And even though I had children outside of wedlock, God preserved my life. I had 3 boys, 2 boys first. And she was, when I got saved, 2005, she was pregnant with my 3rd son. When I got saved, and a year after, she followed. Well, she followed suit within the same period because she was shocked. She said, "This where this change, this man." I had to go for it, right? And then she followed through. The sister followed through. I had a close brother used to call Farai. He ass was down by his waist. He's now brother Calvis Martin. We get saved same time, 2005. Watch me. I ain't talking about go to church and get altar call. God saved me by my bedside.
Right.
I was just fed up. My name calling here, enemies here, life. I had this case hanging over my head. And I was just fed up one morning, one Easter time around April. I just decided, Lord, watch me that morning. I weep. I weep like a baby for about an hour straight. I don't know how I feeling like this. Next thing you know, simultaneously, God dealing with my brethren. Same brother. We used to make some. We went on all kind of scene in the world. God pull him out. I feel it had a reason for him to pull us out same time.
Right.
So we could relate, you know. And after having that, you know, life went on. Got saved a year after I got saved. I got married to my child mother at the time. She's my wife, and that's how it goes. So my life took a serious turn from there. Of course, you know, when Christ came in the picture, it caused conflict. Home, get married, try to carry my wife. I did contrary to script. The script they say leave and cleave. Well, I carry my wife back in the mom's home, and that didn't go too good. No, and my family were real good, we were close, but God didn't design it that way. So to move out and stuff like that, settle my own, become a man. Started to attend Malik Pentecostal under the leadership of Reverend Bertram Gill at the time. Serious man of God, love evangelism, love pray and fast. So I hit the ground running. Pray and fast is watch me. Is also. Now I like to sing. And I had real styles in the world. One thing I used to do is real chant, real gunman style and thing. And when I came to Christ, the Lord gave me 1 or 2 little songs to, but I didn't pursue that. Right. I didn't feel as if that was the way God wanted me to go. So I started be involved in ministry from early preaching. And in 2 years after, in 2007, I attended Bible school, Western School of Theology. Again, when I went Bible school, I was picking rice. I couldn't type on things. Still can't type. Right? No, I didn't finish Bible school. And I need to finish. But I made the attempt and I was doing fine by the grace of God. Not in oneself. I come out of school with no passes. So, and, you know, going along, I grew a desire to see men. I just have a desire to see young fellas. I can't help but fight some small talk with some young fella. I started teaching RI about 6 years now. And that just intensified. My trainers actually say that they like to fight friend. Can't see people and leave them alone. But you see, children and people, young men have a desire. And of course, I sent the video with the evangelistic work in Malik.
Right. Yes.
Right? Like there's a little snippet of what we involved in. However, I don't want to say too much. Coming on the road now, right? I just wanted to say this though, that I always had that desire to I always tell myself I could do more than just preach the gospel. Men need help, fellas need help. I always tell myself teaching, how to get some young men to teach them a trade, how to go about it. And if I tell you something, this cry of my heart, the Lord answered this, and you wouldn't believe. The Lord answered this in a way by me attending that meeting last week.
Yeah.
When I heard Gen X, and after the meeting, I apologized to him. I said, brother, sorry. You know why I say sorry? I said, because when I heard Gen X, now I have some pastors, I love them because they always look for opportunities. From the time they hear this, meeting this, okay, brother, I'm always gonna be interested in this. This guy help me in the ministry, right? And I went to meet. I said, Gen X. I said, well, I know Gen X, but Gen X is a singer. What Gen X going to talk about, boy? But something inside of me is a done deal. I know I'm going. But what Gen X going to talk about? And some virgin asked, who Gen X? I said, Gen X, the fellow who sing, I'm not a bad man. No more. Say it for three. We going.
Yeah.
Brother, when I go on there and I hear this man talk, my first reason as I speaking, this thing answer, this is what I want. Because there are young men who, you preach the gospel to them, they know they need to change, but them fellas need help. Them fellas have no work. Right? Them fellas, some of them hungry. Plenty of them have skills, they have talent, but nobody to bring it out. My father was around to direct me somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And sadly he died in 2013 suddenly at the age 61, very young. And boy, thank God I was serving Jesus at the time, because I don't know what to do. But what he left with me, nobody can take from me. And I understand I did a lot of presentations and men and packing young men, and a call to manhood, and did a lot. I know a lot of things when it comes to the theory, the idea of it. I know where a young man need that father figure, and plenty fellas, 99% of them, when you question them, there's no father figure in the home. The importance of the father role. However, the time has come for me to be that to them, and I want to be able to offer more. What I heard Gen X spoke about and what he exposed us to is certainly where God would want me to get involved in.
And I know some of the viewers might be wondering, Gen X has something going on. What I'm talking about, but something I'm definitely excited about, and we could talk about that a little later on. I just want to say special good evening to Shalomi Legal. I hope I pronounced that properly. She's hailing all the way from Canada. We're happy to have you here. And she's saying, what about lack of fathering in the home? Growing up without a proper example and provider. And I think that is something really critical. And I also wanted to tie that into the conversation, because in the US, all right, I did a bit of research. What stood out to me after research is that almost 80% of men in prisons come from fatherless homes, right? And in 2015, an article posted by the Trinidad Guardian, right, research had revealed that 60% of incarcerated women at Golden Grove, all right, and 60% of boys in YTC were single mothers and absentee fathers, right? So the 60% of the boys in YTC came from fatherless homes, and 60% of the women who were incarcerated in the Golden Grove Women's Prison were single mothers. And that really says something, that there's a void, right? And, we have a serious problem in terms of men being present in the home. One of the things I heard a content creator on YouTube say, men keep boys off the block and girls off the pole. You understand? And that is something really dynamic. Gen X, I want to jump across to you. How would you comment to something like this? And what are some of the remedies that we need to see happening to curb this?
Well, at the age of, I think around 8, around there, my mom became a single parent. My dad, she suffered, all types of abuse at his hand, almost daily. And then he ended up in a situation where he had to run from the law, and my mom became a single parent. It was a hard blow for all of us, because in spite of what Daddy did, now mind you, at that time I didn't know that man was really he was not my biological father. He was there when my mom was pregnant, and he accepted me as his own. But I didn't know. It's at the age of probably around 9 when everything happened. This other guy came in the picture, and he was introduced as my biological father, and there's a long anger story behind that, but I wouldn't go into the detail. What I would say is this: I eventually let him in. right? I eventually decided, you know what? I needed a daddy. You know, I wanted to have that feeling of running after school because my daddy come from me because I went to a boys' school. And back in those days when they had war, in primary school days now, you know, you a small war. You telling man, I could bring my father for you, you know, I could bring my father, you know.
Yeah.
No, you really used to hear men say, very rare when you hear young men say, I'm bringing my mother, right? Now things change, eh? Now if a man say he bringing your mother for you, you have to careful because it's a real woman fighting like man on Facebook. No. But what I'm saying in those days was I bringing my father. And if you have a father, I bringing my big brother. There was a joy in knowing that daddy was around. Hats off to mothers, you know. But there is something that young men, you know, they boasting about daddy. And that was me. So after school now, you know, these young men would run. My father come from me and he would see the daddies opening the door and the children going in the car. And I was thinking, you know what? Even though I just get to know this man, he didn't want me. He left my mother when I was in she belly. You know what? Let me give him a chance because he's trying to make amends. And long story short, I accepted him. And every day I want to ride this car. He's a taxi driver. I want to just show off. Look, my daddy. After school, I run in. Look, my father come from me. I show enough. And then one day they woke us up. Grew up very poor, very, very poor. No water, no lights. Deep in the forested area, deep South Trinidad. And one morning they came and they said to me, with my mom up, everyone, and they said, your father and your grandmother had an argument. And I say, yeah, well, that's where you all come here to say, oh gosh, man, all this noise. They say, yeah, but he just stabbed her up and killed her. And that happy boy I just described to you, who had his daddy, who held on to his daddy, who was boasting in his daddy, world crumbled in an instant. No longer did I just hated him. That anger tripled. I hated anything that moved. And, you know, my mother really tried her best. Now I can look back. I have children now, and they always say, one day you're going to have children. You know, your parents always say that. One day you're going to have children and you're going to see for yourself. But you can't really understand that. You know what I mean? Until you really have children and you realize you need to protect them. You need to guide them. What time to go. Not to control them. You know, my mom would say, I'm a little boy. You coming home in this house 3 o'clock in the morning? Where you was? And I cussing up my mother. And then she had taken lash. One time I raised my hand for my mother, and that was it. She not taking lash. I'll kill you, girl. I'll kill you, boy. I'll bring you here. I'll take you out. And not long after, I didn't realize, but looking back now, I was heading down that same slippery slope of, you know, hating my mother. And eventually leading to where I almost tried to murder my mother in the same manner my father murdered his. But I thank God for Jesus tonight. Hear why? Every single day I wake up, Ma, where you there? She migrated to England. And when she heard her son was changing, she left England and came back here just to pray me through. She found God over there and would tell me about Jesus and talk about Jesus. And I say, you know what? And she came, and after today, she has never left, you know. Although she'll be leaving soon because she stayed with me and she said the point where, son, I have to go back to the other children over there now. But every single day, Ma, where you there, girl? It's a hug and a kiss. God has placed such a love for my mother in my heart that only he could have done that. Because I carried such a hate for this woman. But now, you know, I can't go a day without seeing her, hearing she voice. You know, we had text message, and we live in the same apartment, and you feel well, you know, we so far. It's every day. I just see we now talk. And then if I go down the road to do something, it's along to that text, love you, Cass, love you, Ma. You know, and that does something to an individual. So not having a father can contribute to delinquency, you know. And that's the hats off to mothers who really, I can't say play that role, who really step up as mothers and, you know, adequately perform their role as mothers, right? But there is something that, you know, affects a child when they don't have that father figure. And you heard Maurice talking, and he mentioned the situation or the challenges with his family, what would have contributed to his behavior, right? So what he was basically saying, this is what I also noticed in the YTC. I'm in GGP now. I just completed my my cycle 14 there, but with YTEP. But what I observed in YTC was that dysfunctional families did contribute to future delinquency. Yeah. You know, parental inadequacy, parental conflicts, lack of communication, you know, between parents and children, probably parents who were criminals themselves, right? Because I was saying to someone recently, your son would not follow your advice, he would follow your example. I read that quote somewhere. And family violence, as Maurice was saying, you would have family who, bickering, fighting over things, and that would lead to a child not feeling safe. All right, let me explain this to you real quick. Right, let me explain this real quick. I always say to people that children need to feel safe. When a child feels safe, it is only then they can connect with you. So if a child is in school from a very early age, probably preschool, if that environment, that classroom does not make that child feel safe, if at home parents don't make that child feel safe, that child will never connect with the teacher or the parents. That child will only connect to persons they feel safe around.
Yeah.
So children connect when they feel safe, right? When they connect to you, right, it is only then they can learn from you. So get me. When they feel safe, they connect with you. When they connect with you, it is only then they can learn from you. And only when they learn from you, they can go out there and solve some of life's problems. So what I'm saying is this. If that child don't feel safe at school, at home, they would go out on the street where they would meet a complete stranger who would say, "Oh, I'm dog. Oh, my brother, what is you seeing?" And they can feel safe in that environment now. They can pass a little weed. You know how we used to do it, Maurice. And that bond is there. That bond is there. And you could unmute your mic if you want, Maurice. Once it's quiet enough, and you could probably contribute to what I'm saying. That bond, Maurice, when you're on the streets and you're smoking away, all are we bonding there? Guys, bonding.
Yeah. Family.
Yeah, we smoking from the same blunt. All are we drinking from the same rum. And we begin to feel so safe because a man fight for me. A man running and bust a boy face for me. So you feeling safe. So now because I feel safe, I will now connect with that person. And when I connect with that person, I will learn from that person. And that person could teach me what? Like you said, you had a family member who taught you to make guns. And to clean guns and fix guns. So you would have connected to that person because you felt a sense of safety in that person's presence. So I would have connected with people on the streets. Now, these young men and women, when they connect with these persons, sadly, it's the wrong connections. And now, because of that, they solve problems the way they are taught. If they were taught by the person they connect with to use a gun, guess what? That's what they're going to do. If they were taught to solve the problem of poverty with robbing people, guess what? They felt safe. So I always encourage parents and teachers, make the environment safe for your children. Don't quarrel and argue in front of the children. If you have a little debates, try and do it away from the children. Don't go in school and teachers telling children things like you're done. Stop talking and shouting at children. You will scare them. Because when they go out there in the streets, they don't go through that. There's a love out there. Then they develop slangs like BIL, MIL. You understand? And that's a type of false love that they gravitate to because they're not feeling the real love at home. So they create a world for them to live in and they create an illusion of love. And guess what? You would be surprised to see the things they would do with that type of love, man. So you could just imagine if you give them that love at home, or you give them that environment to feel safe where they connect with you, where they learn from you, and their genuine love is expressed. You could imagine what these children will do. Because look what they're doing today on the streets. They would kill for a boy who they think they love, or a girl who they think they love, or, for a boy who smoke a weed with them ready to bust your neck. So I hope I'm making sense to somebody out here, but we need to create safe environments, Justice, because family, dysfunctional family, I'm telling you, right? Dysfunctional families does contribute to future delinquency.
Most definitely. I mean, a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of thought-provoking comments. I just want to once again remind all our viewers, remember to share, most importantly, and tag one or two people. All right, this is a very, very heavy conversation, a very heavy topic that is much needed. All right, hey, special good evening to Adrian Rodney, and he's been commenting a few messages in the comment section. He's saying, "Amen. I can relate to what you are saying, bro. From a life of crime to a life of Christ." All right, and when Maurice was talking I had the thought from a gunman to a godman. Right? Letitia Clark, good evening to you. She's saying, I'm not sure what NGL means, but she's saying, my dad picked me up from school one time, and that was one of my happiest school memories. So it most definitely see the importance of having fathers in the home. Adrian is also saying, correct is right. Sometimes lack of love and parents. As for me, lack of love made me turn to the streets. I want to hear from Adrian. Adrian, give us a call, bro. 469-9112. All right, 469-9112. Or you can send us a voice note via WhatsApp to that same number. I want to hear from you. You've had a lot. You seem to, have experience on the streets. I'm not sure if you would have had the prison experience. All right, so give us a call. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk heavy. All right. One of the things I really agree with what you said, Gen X. Not just, and I wanted to say, not just feel safe. They don't just need to feel safe, but they need people who they could also relate to, right? Because sometimes, a lot of the times, parents, they can't speak the language of the children, right? Me and Junior was having a conversation last week, Friday as well. Junior is able to relate to a lot of the youths in his community, in his circle, all right? And I mean, if it is as a youth man, I faced with, influences, gun, crime, drugs, and you come in to tell me about, you shouldn't live that life. I ain't really want to hear nothing from you because you don't know what it is I facing. And I think with the youths now is not the same as 10, 15, 20 years ago. All right, there's some different youth men, different young women. All right. Maurice, you mentioned something earlier. When you was in school, right? You felt like you had to fight. Give us a little more context on that. Why did you feel like you had to fight? Were people coercing you to fight or forcing you, peer pressure, that type of thing? What is that like? And do you think that this is one of the high contributing factors these youths facing now?
Well, you remember I mentioned that my father make a statement. The household, the family I came out of, had some uncles who like war, they like fight. Everything they're talking about, a man pass through the yard, they fight. And then my father make a statement and then say, you look like your father, but remember, father never lose a fight. Now, going to success level until, as I mentioned, it was never safe. It never felt safe attending that school. I'm not playing down the school, but never felt safe. Yeah. I mean, you had to man up quick because you're watching them fellas on the outside. You in school clothes, but them fellas on the outside, they watching in. They're all on the fence. They're watching girls. They're watching you if you're looking like you know what I mean. And then they had fellas who attending the school and living close by, so they depended on their strength. But with my mindset, I not going down so. I fighting, whoever means, and the devil, I tell you, the type of people, because the company I had, the circle I was in, God the devil just fit me into a group that had the same mentality. So we fighting, we had cutlass in school, man bringing homemade in school, right, and all sorts of things. So that was the idea. School never felt safe in my times. I remember one time walking down from school to town, success to town, saving $1. Them time was $1 to go. And some fellas just see me a day and looking to hold me, some fellas, one of them out of school uniform and two of them going to some other school. And boy, I started to behave like a madman. They were shocked that they leave me alone. I don't know if you know about the Tambran tree. The Tambran tree on the main road. Just recently I passed and a big stone hit my van. You know that big stone? Somebody fell that stone for me to stop. And the time you stop, you're getting robbed. Right?
Wow.
That's the Tambran tree.
Let me just we just mentioned something there. Let me just say this, eh? There are some people who feel safer in prison than in their own community. Like he was saying, he didn't feel safe in that school. Some people rather go where they're getting 3 square meals a day. So they rather go there because they're so the situation out here, the community is so poverty stricken, or their family, I should say. Poverty hit them real hard, especially in this time in here with this pandemic. And some in prison you're getting 3 square meals, and they went in there once and they realized, you know what? I eat 3 square meals. There was none of that, but I lying down nowhere out here. You know what I mean? They have programs, that kind of thing, and they could still link with some people. So what prison does, it kind of like give it that short-term, prevention of you actually committing a crime. So if you're in there, it's going to be difficult to rob somebody out here or, kill somebody out here and things like that. But what I tell people is that when you think of Jonah, right, I always look at prison as the whale. I just tell people, I'm not speaking negatively, but I would rather a young man end up in a prison than in a grave. Because in a prison, it's like the whale that swallowed up Jonah. It could spit them back out in the right place, because there are so many programs offered in the prisons for rehabilitation. And some people might say, you know what, it don't work. I have seen firsthand, if you really use that system, it has worked for many people. I can say that, without a doubt, right? It may not work for everybody, but if it's used in the right way, it can work. So I tell people that there's an easier way to be successful. You don't need to go to prison to change your life. Some people have great success stories about being in prison and they come out and now they're changed, but you don't have to do that. But if you do end up in there, make the best of, the programs that they offer. Try to follow, get counseling. You have free counseling. Make the best of it. Don't just go there. And they might say, well, you're encouraging people to go to prison. No, the reality is some people will go to prison. And we have to let them know, when you get there, your mindset has to be not one that is in prison. You're just in prison. So you have that kind of Mandela mindset where, hey, even though I'm here, I'm going to read. I couldn't read when in free world. I'll take this time now to learn to read. I'll take this time now to learn to write. I'll go back to school. I know men who went, who never finished school and went to prison and come out with all kind of 7 subjects, Maurice. 7 subjects, right? But we have to use the system in the right way and not just knock it,
Yeah. And I think, I guess, of course, you would have those who would see being in prison as a holiday or something like that.
Very right.
They're more
true.
Yeah, they're more on the imprisoned mentality, that type of mindset. But of course, I want to say welcome to our another guest, Junior Alexander. How you going, bro? What's up? Nice to have you, man.
Unmute your mic.
Yeah, unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Good day. I just reached.
I think we're getting a bit of a static from Junior.
Probably bad reception from where he is.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think he's still getting a little in the matrix. But we'll let you resolve that a bit. I don't know if you had to probably position yourself in the home, the Wi-Fi again. I kind of started. You can mute your mic in the meantime, Junior.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of the times we like to say, it starts from the home, which is true. It most definitely is true. All right. Poor parenting, absent parents, that type of thing. We acknowledge that fathers play a vital role in keeping children, boys off the street, men out of prison, that type of thing. Do you guys feel like, do you think that we can no longer solely depend on the parents? Are we at a position where, you know what, with this situation we can't count on the parents? We have to step out and do something. The community had to do something.
Well, what I believe is parents are uniquely placed, how I should put it, in contributing to raising healthy and responsible, you know, children that would be contributing members of society, right?
Yeah.
But we can't really depend on that structure alone, that family structure alone,
Not at
It
this
has to
time.
go well beyond the family, It has to include community. It has to include society. As I mentioned before, dysfunctional family
You,
conditions will contribute to delinquency in the future. So what I believe, Justice, is that, and I don't know, Maurice will agree with me as well. We need all factors to come into play, right?
Yeah.
Because if we just depend on the parents, what if it's an inadequate parent? What is a parent if it's a parent who don't understand what are parenting rules, what the types of parenting and things like that? What if they don't know? You can't blame them if you never train them. So sometimes we blame people. How you could do that as a parent? But did we train them? Some of
don't
us
know.
learn
They don't know.
parenting by trial and error. They don't know.
Right.
They really don't know. No one really trained them. And that's why we have to offer that type of support early in communities. Programs about, parenting dynamics, programs that contribute to family development, character building, life skills training. These things are very, very critical in the development of our young people in different communities. So I think that the parent alone do their best. But if they don't really know, how to go beyond, that is where other members, other stakeholders from within that community should come together and do similar to what we would have done there in that meeting and discuss. You understand?
Wow. One of the things I've noticed, because I pay a lot of attention to the family, and I came up with a team for a study and a presentation I did with focus on the family. The devil do a serious number on families,
Yeah.
because if we look at the scripture where God designed the family unit for, right? There's a scripture that says to pass on to your generation, and they will teach it to their generations also. We see where Moses say to teach the children at the word of God when they sit down, and you're going in, you're going out, you're coming in when they sit down at the table. So that's the role of the father or the parents, so to speak, to raise a godly seed so that God's name will transcend generations.
Yeah.
Right? That's the idea. However, the devil strike at the root, the devil interfere with the family. Now the children that passing on things. Now my father taught me a trade, but there are plenty of things that I lack because my father didn't know. He was not a Christian man. He didn't show me the biblical masculinity. You understand? He didn't, my mother try. He couldn't pass on what he did not know. So the fathers today, when you look at them, they're much older than the children, some of them, the parents today. Right?
Yeah.
They don't know, and watch me, they're passing it on. Now, even in church, we have a problem. We have a deficit. You understand? We have men, even myself, coming to Christ didn't mean I knew everything about fatherhood. There are things that the church family, I say something, I read this in a book, and it's something I agree with. The nuclear family and the church family, one can't do without the other. The nuclear family is to be informed by the church family and supported. Now is the role of the home. So when you see you have that problem with the family unit breakdown, to answer the question, I don't think the families today could do it. This is why I love RI, but the problem I have is that RI is not enough. That 45 minutes to talk to the children, remember they're going back home into a culture, right? It's as if I don't want to make it something, but sometimes we're wasting time. We need to find ways of going to school one time and asking teachers, I said, do you all have trade? Do you all have sports? Just and we go on. I want to teach somebody how to use a measuring tape, right? I want the most fulfilling part of RI is not the teaching and the lesson part. It's after when these young men come around and asking questions. When they start to interact with them one-on-one. So, but what about this answer? And you could all the shouting done, all the kicks in front of their friends, that aside, you answer alone. And that's the part when you could really reach them, and I just feel, all right, not enough. just going alright. Sometimes you feel like you just pacifying your conscience, you're doing something for the Lord, and there's nothing up. We need to get an environment to pull them out outside the RI, maybe a camp when school closed, something, teach them skills.
Right.
And I see plenty of the VBS we run, and we see how it impacts a young man. When you teach him to cut a piece of wood, to read a tape, to do this, to do that, we feel worth, feel important. And that is the role of a father.
Nice man.
So we have to be more than preachers. We have to be parents. We have to parent them.
Yeah, most definitely. So we a lot to think about, a lot being said. Of course, you're locked onto the Talk Heavy podcast. We want to take a quick break and come back, but right after that, we want to talk about this initiative that is being spearheaded by Gen X and how you can get involved. All right, and we also want to get Adrian Rodney on the phone, right? Talk for about 2 minutes with this brother, and of course we have Junior Alexander. We'll be chatting with him a bit as well, as he give you, like, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it at all. So stick with us. Share the live if you haven't shared us yet. Tag 1 or 2 people. Tag a young man. Tag a young lady who needs to hear this conversation. This is the Talk Heavy podcast. We'll be right back.
Podcasts are everywhere today, and at Mended Studios, we speak live to all podcasts. Have you or your group thought about having a podcast? Do you or your group have a podcast and want to make it better? Whoever you are, wherever you are located, Mended Studios is here to mend your wonderful ideas with great media. Take your podcast to the next level. And if this sounds like you or someone you may know, get in contact with us at 337-6709 or email us mendedtt@gmail.com. Greetings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and soon and coming King. I want to invite you to the nautical hour, a time of prayer, a time of seeking the face of God, so that we can be able to know what God is doing in this season. This dispensation is a time where we need to know what God is doing, and therefore prayer is the way we communicate with Him and He communicates with us. I want to invite you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Let us get an opportunity to seek the face of God together. He has something in store for you. He has something in store for me. And when we get together, the power of God, the presence of God changes things. I am Pastor Randall Rodney saying, when life gets too hard to stand, kneel.
Hey, what's happening? This is Justice, straight out of Mended Studios, Talk Heavy podcast. And I'm here to introduce you to our brand new t-shirts, fully equipped with our barcode. And once you get your hands on one, scan the barcode. It takes you to all our social media platforms: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and the Mended Studios Facebook page. You can go back on there and review all our past episodes. Great discussions. We had some great guests and great topics, right? Still be a part of the movement. Like, share, comment. We still welcome you to do that. Now, this t-shirt is only $160 TT. Get your hands on one. Give us a call, 469-9112. Send us a WhatsApp message or direct message on Instagram or Facebook, right? Talk Heavy podcast, where the vibe is light, but the talk is heavy. All right, so welcome back. Of course, you're locked on to the Talk Heavy podcast. And good news, the Talk Heavy podcast t-shirts are only $130 now, so you can get your hands on one. Of course, the barcode is on there. Let your friends and your family scan the barcode. Link with us. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, subscribe to us, and on TikTok, and of course on Facebook, right? So, all right. So as promised, I have Adrian Rodney on the line. Hello, good evening, Adrian.
Pleasant good night to all.
Excellent.
In the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ, our King and Savior.
Amen, brother. So, Adrian, I really wanted to get you to be part of the conversation. You would have mentioned that you coming from a life of crime, you had the prison experience, and
Nah.
Oh,
Wasn't I didn't make it to prison, thank God.
Amen. All right, excellent. How did you get in this life, bro? Was it the elements? Was it your environment? What was it for you?
Basically, I would say for me is lack of love, in the sense of well, I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. I never know my real dad, but my stepfather always played a father figure, but the father figure wasn't like that love, like how I would give my kids now. It wasn't that love that a child really need, and while growing up here, my mom separated, and I was back and forth, I consider him as my dad. I was back and forth. I used to be by him, I would be my mom, and then started being around the wrong crowd, which is actually part of my family that I came in contact with through someone passing. But before I came in contact with them, I was already smoking marijuana, and what really led me to started selling marijuana is where I was working. They cut down the hours, and at time I was getting paid weekly. I was also in a susu for the week, which was $300 a week. And all I got paid was $300 alone, and it was just enough to pay my susu. I don't know how I'm doing everything else, and the Virgin, we used to sell drugs. So from there, it started to escalate. Came in contact with the family members. Now there was more advanced than me in the sense of dealing with guns and drugs, and actually being around them right through. From there, I started to deal with guns and escalate higher into the drugs.
Oh.
So just a stage in life that led me to that, and being around the wrong people who I thought was the right people. Everything has escalated from there.
What one of the motives I wanted to accomplish from this conversation, this episode, is if at least one young person who in their life right now was to bounce up this video, this entire podcast, and hear your voice, Adrian, all right, and change their ways or make a conscious effort to try and navigate away from it, all right. So I want you to give some advice to that person who might hear this or who will be listening, all right. What words of wisdom would you want to give to them right now as having the opportunity?
Well, honestly, to speak to all of you two looking to get yourself involved in this, there's only two ways out that will lead to one way out. Is either you end up in the grave or behind bars, or you may be blessed enough to hear the voice of the Lord and apply and going forward. It doesn't make sense running down this life, because running down the life today, as you can see, many youths are being gunned down. And also, it's more to get themselves surrounded by the right set of people, pertaining to Christ-like people, to be motivated, and just pray and talk out to God.
Yeah. So, well, Adrian, I want to say thank you very much for joining us on the TalkHeavy podcast, for being here. Remember to stick with us. We have a lot of great content coming up, and Gen X is a guy you would want to follow. All right.
Yeah.
Listen on, and because we have some information we want to give out as well. All right.
All right, no problem. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, man. Blessings. All right, so that's how we do it on the TalkHeavy podcast. Really appreciate Adrian joining us. All right, so let me talk to Junior Alexander. Junior, you're on. You're live.
Yeah, good night to everyone.
All right, nice. Coming in with a kind of Barry White voice. Very nice. All right, so we talking this crime life, this prison life. I know, Junior, you have a excellent testimony. A great, you see, they're done laughing already, and after during the meet, I told Junior this during the meeting. After the meeting on last week Friday, Gen X would have shown a picture of Junior Alexander before changing his life, and I didn't know. I was like, "Who's that? Who's that in that picture?" Gen X thing there, and then Gen X said, "This is Junior Alexander, this young man standing next to me." Yeah, and I was like, "Nah." And before the meeting start, I had about a 25-minute conversation with this man about work and this and that, and I would have never thought. All right, so Junior, let's hear from you. What got you into this life? All right, what was your experience like, and what really transformed and changed your life, and what is the difference now?
Well, what really get me into the life that I grew up from a life of poverty, and I always used to look at my grandmother them and see how we had to be cooking from food pot. Sometimes we had nothing to eat, nothing to drink. So that day I just make up my mind and say,
Again,
yes, this I'm
again a
not gonna do
little.
this no more. We have to make it. And I turned to the streets.
All right.
First I started gambling, playing like wappy and these things. Then I started getting myself involved in drugs. Well, as I get older, I end up buying a D11 Sonny. I had no license, but I start trafficking from Muruga to Point Fortin. And I say, why are you doing this for people when I could do it on my own? And I continued there and I started to sell my own drugs. I had people selling for me. And it was, to be honest, like how I started to know Christ is through Gen X. That a day he was talking, but well, he know the experience that he went through when he first come to library. But when I first saw him, I was like, who's this man, boy? What I bring here for? And we think so he keep any class. We never had time for he. He could talk how much he want. That would used to be. Right? But I was always a leader, most important. And then a day he came and he was speaking and thing. He talked to me. The next day he come and he was lecturing to us and talking about his lifestyle. And I remember one thing stand out to me is when he started saying and he say, you see, I know I felt a difference, knowing that he knew what I've been through and he had an experience of the life. You understand? So I was like, if God could do it for he could do it for me the same way.
Yeah.
You understand? Then he started inviting me to different churches and things. I'm being honest, a lot of them he invite me to, I never end up not one day. But it just at this day that he invited me to Alipere Open Bible and I sit down and I was like, boy, go boy, why you going there for? And I heard this voice speak to me and I ended up reaching there. It was a youth meeting and I sit down on a platform where everybody sit down. I sit down by myself, we talk, everything. The people in church start showing me love. I remember I had a fella named Junior Kamabatch. Up to this day, we are still good. He treat me like a brother. And he start nurturing me piece by piece, getting me together. So it had a Sunday, he invited me to church. He came library, leave from San Fernando and came library, pick me up, take me to church. And I remember the pastor was preaching and she was like, who want to give their life to Christ? Raise their hand, call the hands and this thing. And my battle did now begin. That I sit down and I was like, my hand want to go up and like I don't want to go up. And he was at the side of me praying. And when I tried to raise my hand pulling down. And I hear in this voice telling me, boy, you're stupid, they're going to laugh at you. Don't do that. And I keep on hearing this voice. And while he praying, it just out of the blues that see my hand went up. And then the pastor see me, she make the altar call. That day, I feel completely different. I feel like a feather. I could have just blow out of the church. And since I started in Christ, it been a different for me.
Yeah.
God opened to me. He touched my heart. I know sometimes we go through struggles and things, but at the end of the day, you never go through problem unless you have a testimony to share. You understand? So you have to be tested in order to have a testimony. But when I look at life now, serving Christ is better than you're putting your life on the line, on the block, because you're putting your life at a bigger risk out there than you're putting it, well, you're putting it in Christ now. But honestly, to me, I don't really see myself in the church, just be sitting in church every Sunday and listen to the word of God and thing. I see myself on the streets, looking for the unsaved soul and bringing them to Christ, teaching them about Christ. But I will go to church to build back my strength, because you remember God said with one another, I was in the midst of the strength.
Yeah, and a little static. Hold. All right. Getting a little static from on your end there, Junior. I'm not sure if it's the internet connection, but go ahead. Go ahead. I think we should be able to hear you. Talk to my Junior.
Yeah, so that why I see my man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that why I see my life serving Christ. I see my life serving Christ now, and it's a better thing. All day,
Junior.
Yeah.
Junior. I think. Yeah. Here's what. Let me give you a call via mobile, right? Because we're getting a bit of static.
Yeah.
On your yeah. So what you could do is mute your you're on your phone via Zoom. All right. So we'll get you on via mobile, right?
Yeah.
So Junior could be on via mobile. All right.
Some good stuff the brother sharing there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Real.
And it's
anything like that, Maurice, is encouraging, you know, Maurice. Make you say, "Watch now, my God, it's worth
Boy,
it."
I just like to hear this testimony. I like to hear the other men experience and say, boy,
90510.
yeah, boy, God is good, boy.
All right. Yeah. So we'll get Junior on the phone, in a little while, right? But yeah. So Gen-X, I know you have. Oh, we have a picture. I want to put up. No, this is the amazing thing with this whole transformation of lives and whatnot. But it really amazes me. This is Adrian Rodney before, changing his life and after. This is I can't believe this.
Man look different looking.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Look different.
What I would want to do is have him on so he can probably share his testimony with us and the TalkHeavy podcast team.
Yeah,
Junior, you're there with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, excellent. So we have Junior via mobile now. I don't know if you want to continue where you had reached.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so that made it enough in my life to the streets, living the life as a gangster. I never see anything. And I live my life that, okay, one day I had to go, so I did not care, not much, But honestly, now, I was telling you, it makes no sense to put your life out there because it have nothing to gain in the world. Understand? The world have nothing to gain. All it have is just temptation, and the devil just out there to mislead you, to get you in trouble. Understand?
Yeah.
The only, as the fella mentioned earlier on tonight, it only have two ways out. Is either you're dead or you're in prison. Better you serve Christ now. If you do know him now, it's better you get to know him. Because I tell you, just how it's a party out there, it's a gospel party too. It's a pride. Understand? But enjoy yourself the same way. And I telling you honestly, When you go up gospel concert or you go up gospel boat ride, it's better than the party them out there. It's more enjoyment. Understand? You can enjoy yourself to the fullest and come home and sleep comfortable. You don't have to study if I'm not here. Or and boss your face by mistake. Or you know you have to watch out for me. So love. The environment does be different. The vibes does be different. You understand? And one thing I could boast about the Holy Spirit does be moving. You understand? It does be an enjoyment.
I wanna ask you a quick question, Junior. How have you been able to reach the youths, the young men in your community, in your area in Library, and encourage them to even start treading a path that you would have taken?
Well, to be honest, how I able to reach them out because I was outside there. You understand? And we used to start saying them, having a book, the start calling me teacher. But I didn't really study them. So you want to be a preacher or I might be a pastor, you can never tell. You understand?
Yeah.
So that name pastor. So, but one thing I did always respect about them, they always give them a respect. When time for me to speak, they'll come and hear, we'll gather, we'll talk, we'll laugh and things. So what I start doing things like what them like. You understand? We listen the little music and things what them like to listen. And then I was like, listen mine. But my favorite song was JetX. You understand? You see, I know. When they hear that, they was like, hey boy, who is this man sing that? Say that X sing that. And then it wasn't only youths that started building an impact on. Even the others around me. You understand? I started building impact on them and all because there was like, hey, burn that CD for me. Put on that flash drive for me. You understand? And it was joy to me because doing that, I used to be a person that used to get real trouble in the community. Instead of day that instead of get trouble, I give back to the community. You understand? And it had a lot of families, tears in the eye, and I was like, hey, look who you used to be. You understand? Boy, go strong, and they give me that confidence. So, you see, I have a cousin by the name of Candice. When I was going to get baptized, it had plenty of temptation, but one thing I could say, she was there for me.
Right.
She pushed me. She said, Junior, don't give up. You want to go that road, go that road. And your cousin here to support you. And go out there. My aunt, she was there for me. I went and got my clothes the morning to baptism. My aunt early, she prepared everything. She had my clothes, everything. So I was just to get up, bathe, and get ready. And thank God for she. And thank God for the encouragement that she gave me and all the support. And everyone that always support me and show me that love.
Yeah, man. Good vibes. I'm really, really, really happy to hear all the stories, the testimonies from Maurice and Junior and Gen X, and of course Adrian Rodney, who shocked me with that picture, but shocked me with that picture.
Justice,
Yeah.
let me just share something very quickly. I know
Yeah, go ahead.
Junior, he's such a humble guy with his shirt. One day he called me, not long after his transition. I would say probably a few months. And he said, X, I have some good news for you. But I said, what's that? He said, I got a certificate. So now he's telling the truth. Community leaders came up to me and they were crying about his transformation, that what God had done in his life. They were literally in tears, right? Like Junior boy baptizing and they're literally crying. So he called me and said, I got a certificate. So hear me, I say, when I went on the electrical, because I thinking, what this young man's response was? Listen, tears come out my eye. He said, I got a certificate in missions and evangelism at the Open Bible School there. And that thing just, what get to you now get saved. Now come to the kingdom and running with a missions and somebody say started for the street. you know, he really needs that, you know. He really loves people.
Yeah, man. Good vibes. Good vibes. Genex, as you're on that vein, um, give us some insight. Let me talk a little bit about this initiative that you are planning to embark on with the necessary stakeholders and whatnot. Let's give us a brief breakdown on what it is
Yeah.
exactly you want to do.
Okay, well, you heard Maurice mention that he does the RI, but he says the RI is not enough. No, that's not good. It's just not enough.
Yeah.
We need to, you know, focus on person's development holistically. There are other dimensions to self. Spiritual is just one. We have the psychological, we have the physical, we have the emotional, you know, we have the mental, the different, you know, dimensions to self. And one of the things I believe is we need to appeal to the emotional intelligence of these children in schools today. So they're very angry. You know, we could deal with them from head alone, but we need to start to approach them with heart, you know, that heart
Yeah.
of compassion. And we're not just talking about academics, maths, and English. You know, that is really good. But not everybody will connect with that, you know. And I'm sure you're familiar with people that did not do well, you know, academically and felt as though they were outcast because they felt as though, you know, they were stupid or dunce or they were failures because, you know, society had a setup. Once you don't come out of school with subjects or maths and English, you're considered a failure. But what we want to do is really tap into the emotional intelligence of these children, find out what they're good at. You know, we want to implement, and I say we because I'm talking about you would have been in that meeting, you know, Church on the Rock, Bishop Agar, a wonderful man, wonderful man.
Yeah.
You know, his passion and his drive to just get this off the ground as quick as he did was just amazing. You know, to call all those stakeholders together in one room for me to present that vision. And we want to go there in the schools in Mova and begin to implement some character building life skills training where we're going to touch on topics like understanding self, anger management and conflict resolution, making healthy decisions, you know, building healthy relationships and goal setting. And a whole, we're going to, you know, speak with the principals, of course, the teachers, and we're going to decide on topics, you know. We're not going to just assume. We're going to make sure and structure everything properly, have proper lesson plans, proper handout with, you know, appropriate content. We're going to have proper resources. We're not going to go in there just in and out. We want to try to at least spend, you know, going there once a week for a month so we can be able to track the progress, track, you know, what are the children learning, what are they enjoying, you know, from this. And, you know, at the end, probably award them a life skills certificate that is going to build their resume. But we just want to go in there and integrate the life skills training into the school structure. Now, some persons may say, yeah, we know life skills. You know, some people may even say it's boring. But there is a way, and as I mentioned in that presentation, there is a right way. If you look at my Facebook page, I'm not saying this boastfully, but gratefully. You know, I have put a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
I have done a lot of research, and I believe that there is a right way to facilitate life skills. All right. So I believe with this, you know, this unity that we have and this type of, you know, initiative, we're going to go in there and make some tremendous impact in the lives of these young people. I honestly believe that with all my heart.
Yeah. Amen. Most definitely. And of course, if anyone is looking on or persons may come on to the live afterwards, they want to get involved, they want to, you know, contribute, they want to push some sponsorship towards this initiative, how can they get involved and how can they contact you? Or how?
Well, you can get me via my numbers. I'll give you two numbers. Numbers are 281-8576, 281-8576, and the other number is 718-0679. That number again is 718-0679. You can also find me on all the social media platforms, Gen X, GEN-EX Anthony, yeah, Gen X Anthony, and you can connect with me via WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. You know, you can also check out Cassio Anthony, CASSIO Anthony and Associates on Facebook as well. I'd like to hear from you. Just, you know, leave a little message. Let me know you look at the podcast, you enjoyed it, you know, and if you wanna, you know, be a part of this upcoming initiative, you're more than welcome to do so. Because we're inviting persons. It's not about just us. It's about working together, you know, cooperatively so that we can go in there and really, really impact the lives of those young people today.
Yeah, I'm most definitely excited and looking forward to being a part of this and just putting it into action because as I would have expressed before, the constant videos with the school fights, it was starting to get unbearable. You understand? So we really need to step out and do something. All right. So that's Casio Anthony and Associates. All right, that's your business, Gen X.
That's right.
I know Maurice, you would have mentioned before too. You're a tradesman. Plug your business a little bit now.
Well, I'm a welder fabricator. Of course, we do construction work also on a small scale, but we're more focused on welding and fabrication. The only thing I can make is a man. Anything out of steel, you name it, we build it. Design and construct. Steel structure, steel staircase, window, these gates, sliding gates, you name it, we build it. The name of our business is Steel Excellence. It is a registered business.
Right.
And stuff like that. So.
Steel Excellence.
I like that chair, boy. I like that chair. I love that chair you on the Maurice, boy. I love it. I want one chair too. Look at that chair.
Thanks to my wife. Thanks to my wife. Yeah, the wife chair. Yeah.
What she does do?
She do pedicures. She's a pedicurist.
Oh, really?
Look where we had a link up there now, Justice. We had a
of course.
pedicure again. The hand on the foot, that's forgive me.
Nice pedicure foot. Yeah, that foot.
Right, yeah. I got a link up. Junior, you gotta be dirty foot. You gotta go and fix up yourself.
Of course.
Right. Nice. What's your wife's business? Is it she have a official Facebook page and that type of thing?
Well, actually, she not with that is concerned. She work within a circle. She goes. Okay. She does visits. She could do a pedicure for you at your convenience.
All right.
Because she had the smaller one, the bigger chair. We actually recently we purchased it to start to do something. Set up a station home. Right. But the challenge is real. Yeah. So right now it's more office chair for now. But if somebody needs inquire, like sometimes she go on the job, people make appointments, stuff like that.
Right. All things in due time, man. And
of
I think Junior, you're into agriculture. I think it is. You was telling me.
Yeah, agriculture. So that multi-talented, I could do anything.
Right. So these guys are tradesmen. They're bending steel. They're farming. Gen X has agri G's, right? Nice building. That is actually prospering in the Palo Seco area on the stretch there, right? You can't miss it, right? So, this is where we want to end things off, guys. This was an excellent conversation. I really enjoyed this. A lot of thought-provoking comments. Really want to say thank you to Junior for joining us, Maurice for joining us, Gen X of course, and Adrian Rodney. I find Adrian was a real. He kept it real. Yeah. A decent guy to hang out with, to reason with. You know what I mean? All right. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us right here on the TalkHeavy podcast. All right. We thank you for your comments, for the shares, for the likes, and for the contributions, most importantly, right? Just want to remind you to join us next Wednesday right here on Mended Studios Facebook page, same time. All right. And of course, we've got Nautical Hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 a.m. Sorry, from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. So start your day the right way with prayer right here on Mended Studios, right? All right, so in TalkHeavy podcast style, we want to leave you with some local music. Here is Jara Nurse. What's the name of that song again, boy? Wait, producer, I forget the name of the song, boy. I forget the name of the song too. All right. Yeah. One more. We just had to take one more second to give you the title of the song, right? So here's Jaranus. One more. Thank you very much. This has been a TalkHeavy podcast. Have a great night. Expression House Media.
Cherry beats make me talk to them youths on the streets, yeah. Talk to them, why, yeah. Pass me the microphone, just make me preach. Cause when me come from, you nah get no ease. And some of them a call me the ghetto priest. Cause me was born and grow and raised in the street. So this Jesus you don't know about heat. That's why I don't wanna go to hell, yeah. Why every youth want to walk with a fire. Me used to live that life but now me retire. Since Jesus Christ take over. Welcome to the ghetto where them buy love zest. Them walk around now with them fake bulletproof vests. The thing they Teflonless. So when a gunman strike, he might open up them chest. And it's just one more casket, one more candle, one more funeral, yeah. Them buy them make the thing look normal, yeah. One more casket, one more candle, one more funeral, yeah. Them buy them make the thing look normal. Oh no, me wish that some of them will get sense, get our education and stop live low. Cause nobody want to be the CEO. And so them bounce up with the DMO. And that's just how the story go. And when them want to walk around with the Glock and Draco, and them now I be no soldier, but them love to wear camouflage clothes. Now realize them getting older, and only worries and wars. Them try to make the thing look normal. Why every little get to youth will be a criminal. But a gunshot, yes gunshot, I dey get a youth's medication. Well, some of them are run down badness, but overdose with them prescription. Boy, one more casket, one more candle, one more funeral, yeah. Them by them make the thing look normal, yeah. One more casket, one more candle, one more funeral, yeah. Them by them make the thing look normal. And some of them are broken and frustrated. I saw them lifestyle fueled with hatred. And them a do anything to make it. So some of them a even sell themselves naked. And them a talk about 6 and 9, but enough time when they gunshot multiply. Enough by them get divide, and a 6 feet them lie. Some call it dreams, oh Lord, but all I see is nightmares dead like fleas, oh Lord. Cause the bloodshed like it endless. If everybody walk on war one, tell me when the thing go done. They try to make the thing look normal when they put another body down. Them chill another one.